Welcome back to the Reno-Tahoe Real Estate Insider. Today, we're talking about what's working and what's not working for people looking to sell their home in today's market. And we're joined by Neetha Gorla. Neetha, thanks so much for joining us today. For those who don't know you yet, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely, Shay. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast. It's really exciting. So I've been in the Reno-Tahoe area for over 2 decades. Always worked with sellers and buyers. So lots of experience with changing markets, different markets, how they have changed, gained a lot of experience. And I truly believe helping my clients by sharing experiences and sharing a strategy. So just absolutely love what I do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, let's dive right into it. What are the biggest misconceptions homeowners have right now about selling in the Northern Nevada market?
Biggest misconceptions. Believing that they can test the market with no consequences. I'm seeing this more and more coming off from the previous markets that we are coming, especially in 2025. There's been a big transition on what the seller expectations are and what the market is doing. The sellers are kind of like trying to chase the market and then don't know the consequences that it's going to just sit on the market. And we have a lot of delistings coming out of 2025. So I think that's the biggest thing that we need to tell our sellers right now.
Okay, so when you're saying the consequences, you had mentioned delistings. What are some other real world consequences of trying to test the market?
So, say for example, I'm just going to lead by examples because I just love sharing my experiences, right? Say, I felt like 2025, there's just a lot of a full circle that we came from COVID, right? People came in, settled in Reno. Say, for example, a Bay Area couple came in, settled in Reno. They thought this was their forever home. They were working remote. And now they've called back last year. Either like the job market is tough, so they didn't want to try to find a new job, but then they decided to just move out of Reno. Now the home is sitting, but then they got this amazing home that we cannot rent, right? Because it's so huge and there's a lot of maintenance that you just can't rent and leave it as investment property. And it's sitting empty. The expectations are high because they just bought it a few years ago, but now there is seller cost to it. Plus there is maintenance cost, plus they want to break even and not sell at a loss. And so they're pricing it a little bit higher than what the comps are or the market is saying. Now it sits. So the consequences are the stress for the seller, stress for us, because we are just trying to chase the market. It's just sitting there still. And then we're paying double mortgages. And then finally, what happens? We want to either do a delisting. But then in this situation, like, what do? They have to sell it. So at some point, they have to come up with a good strategy to actually get rid of the property.
Would you say it might be priced a little high,
Yeah,
or is it typically due to price?
correct. Because when you are working with an agent that's experienced, obviously you are walking through, you're getting things done, you're staging it, you're doing everything right, you're showcasing it, you're marketing it. But if it's still sitting on the market, then it's just the price. And then people who have bought in the last few years, they paid the higher price already, right? And then even for them to break even, you need that 6 to 10% anywhere with the staging cost and the closing cost to sell. So if you're adding that on top of it, and they're merely not trying to make profit, they're just trying to break even, but it's still not working,
Mm,
you see.
okay.
So the sellers who have a lot of equity, potentially, and are really motivated, that's working. But the sellers, but the people who just bought their homes in the last few years and trying to sell it, just not working.
Yeah. So they bought, let's say, right around the high point in the market. Now they're trying to sell. And yeah, as a seller, you definitely don't want to take a loss if you don't have to.
Yeah.
But we see on the buyer side, to add to your point, the longer something sits on the market, the more buyers go in aggressively with their offers. Um,
And
yeah.
see, there's another example that I can share of the sellers that bought. I do a lot of new construction because we have so much new construction in the last
Mhm.
few years, and they give like amazing incentives. So I've sold a lot of new construction, and I'm seeing the same thing with the buyers at that time. Got excited, bought all these homes, made quick decisions, and with the new builders, like even just the landscaping cost, right? they must have spent anywhere from 20 to 50 grand, depending on the lot. Now, you bought this home, you've spent 20, 50 grand on the house for upgrades and landscaping and things like that. And then now you want to sell, and all you want is whatever the amount that you paid for, plus the landscaping cost, plus the seller cost for selling the house, and doesn't work.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
doesn't work.
yeah, that's tough. That's
Yeah.
tough. And that circles to my second question. How would you describe the current state of the Reno real estate market compared to where it was, 1 to 2 years ago?
Honestly, Shay, I mean, if you leave the headlines, I just feel like it's growing a lot.
Really?
Yeah, I know you probably didn't hear this from many,
That
but
makes sense to me, but somebody that might be listening to this that's not from Reno or already living in Reno
yes, to
may be
see,
surprised to hear
like,
that.
we never used to have traffic before, right?
I
We have
know.
traffic now, right? So, and everywhere there's construction, and we don't have much land. They're trying to build on top of the hills now. So there's a lot of demand. Every single inch of the land is getting used, right? So we used to be like a small town before, but now I feel like we still have the small town charm. But all these relocation people that have come into Reno has changed the landscape heavily. There's so many more people that are coming, relocating for that USA Parkway, like all these Tesla people, all the, eh, all these like companies that are coming in. We have traffic. The prices are like holding there, even though in spite of what I just told, there is nothing. Like if somebody comes in and they think it's a small town and they give me a budget of 300, 400K, it's hard to find something. Right? Our median prices have gone up to 580, but technically like 650 if I need to find a good home for a family of 2 kids, right? So I feel like, we've just been like growing and growing into a bigger city. And I even get these comments from a couple of my clients saying that, oh my God, your prices are higher than Bay Area,
Interesting.
which is a true statement.
Interesting. I relate it, and I say it to many Bay Area in the sense of you hit the nail on the head with limited land, right? In the Bay Area, everything's surrounded by mountains or the ocean, so there's only so much you can build. It's the same in Reno. You've got the BLM land to the east,
Hmm.
and you've got the mountains of, the Sierra Nevadas on the west, and then you've got Nevada is actually the most mountainous state in the United States. A lot of people don't know that.
It's just so beautiful here.
It is, but it's so landlocked too that, I originally come from Texas. I moved out to Incline about a little over 8 years ago. And in Texas, you just build and build and build and build and build. The land is endless. So what does that do? That keeps prices down because the
Mm,
supply is unlimited.
yeah.
It's not like that here in Reno. And I really do. I think Reno is still undervalued. I know that might sound crazy. I
Yeah.
think it's undervalued. And hear me out. I'm a big skier. I think most people that move to Reno-Tahoe are skiers also, or they like the snow, or they like the change in seasons, or they like hiking, mountain biking, what have you, right? They like
Right.
the mountains. Reno is top three most convenient mountain towns in the United States by far.
True. I
Compare
agree.
it to Denver, Denver's 2+ hours to the mountains.
Hmm.
Salt Lake City, the mountains are close, but it's pretty bottlenecked. There's one way in, one way out. Boise, it's a few hours to the mountains, right? So as far as convenience, you can be at Mount Rose in 20 minutes in South Reno, 45 if you're in North Reno. You can be at
Yeah.
Palisades or North
Mhm.
Star or Sugar Bowl, what have you, right? So I still think Reno is in its early stages of being discovered as a top tier
Mhm.
city on the West Coast. And then, like you mentioned, the low property taxes, right? Some of the lowest property taxes in the country. There's more and more good paying jobs moving in, right? With more tech companies and just bigger companies in general. And then also, too, the cost of doing business and the cost of energy, right? So that's why companies like Tesla are moving in and bringing factories here is the energy costs are minuscule compared to, what you would find in a California. So I'm
So
still
true. So
very
true.
early. I think Reno's still very early in its growth.
Yeah, I felt like they discovered us during COVID and after Tesla. And that's why we grew so much. But to your point, yeah, I think we are in that discovery stage, and then we are like a mini Bay Area prices right now. And I live in south part of Reno.
Mhm.
So when you said 20 minutes, that's exactly it's 20 minutes to Montrose. Both my kids, my husband, they all ski. Yeah, they have icon passes because they like to go to Palisade. And then another thing, right? Raising family in Reno, like kids, they ski, they mountain bike, like, anything outdoorsy. That's how like the kids grew up being
If
in
you
Reno. It's just like so amazing. Like we live in such a beautiful place.
100%. If you wanna raise a kid that maximizes their outdoor time, I mean, Reno's
What are
gotta
you?
be one of the best cities. It's safe, the community's great. We were in South Reno yesterday. We had just gotten home from the airport, or we were coming home from the airport, and we stopped at one of the coffee shops in South Reno, and there were just so many young families walking around. I was like, man, I looked at my wife. I was like, this is such a great place to raise a family. I'm like, it's
Was that the Hub Coffee or?
no, we went to drink coffee, do stuff. That's
I
our
see.
that's our
Oh,
weakness. So
yeah,
we know the owners; they're great people. So we always try to stop in there whenever we get a chance.
got you.
Um,
Yeah, and it's a
so
small community. Like even though, a lot of people are coming in and out for work, but it's still a very close knit community in Reno. Like you pretty much like know each other.
yeah, I know it still has that small town feel. Which,
Hmm.
if you're somebody that's listening to this and you're looking for the big city activities, but with the small town feel, I can't think of a better place than Reno. So, circling back to the pricing strategies and sellers listing their homes, I know the market. It's more of a buyer's market now. Are there pricing strategies that worked a few years ago, maybe in 2021, 2022, that are completely backfiring today?
So definitely, right? We don't have that same market as 2021. So if the sellers are still thinking that they're going to get the top dollar, that's backfired them in 2025. And I hope they don't continue the same in 2026. So right now, you definitely need that strategy where the home needs to look good, get your inspections done, get all the repairs done. So the presentation and the price matters a lot more. Like 2021 was the easy sale, blink of an eye, weekends, like, hey, your home is sold, right? You got so many calls. And right now, the biggest shift, like I can tell you, like in the month of January, I went out for 4 listing appointments, and out of 4, I only took 2. I actually said no to the other 2 listings. I'm like, hey, these are the experiences. And if you're not going to take my recommendations, I don't even want to list your home.
Right. You don't need the practice. You don't need the practice.
But in 2021, it's like, welcome, any home, any price, right? We didn't
Yeah.
even do anything. Like we just listed them. It's like, oh, you want a list? Okay, let's just sign the documents. We could sell it.
Yeah.
So
Let's get some photos done. And
it's a huge difference. It's a big market shift right now. That the price, the presentation matters.
so, in regard to price, I have noticed there's been a couple deals that we've been involved on the mortgage side in which, when it was priced right, especially in that 400,000 to let's say 600,000 range,
Mhm.
when it was priced right, it went very, very quickly. What are you seeing in regard to that?
So you're very true because we actually don't have any affordable homes right now. It's really, if somebody is coming in with that 400 to under half a million budget, things are moving really fast. I would say if the home looks good,
Hmm.
if the home is presentable, like
If it's not a
home,
total fixer upper.
yeah, and that's not happening. Like they'll just sit. Even those homes will sit. But based on that, then you may have to change your pricing strategy. But if you have a home that's under 500, but if you are able to, because of that under 500, half a million price, if you're able to present it well and market it well, it's going to go quick,
Hmm.
like really, really quick.
That's what we've been seeing as well. And speaking of presenting it well, what are the home features or improvements sellers can invest in that are actually moving the needle with buyers right now?
So the very first thing is getting that home inspection done. I would highly, highly, highly recommend
Why
any
is that?
seller.
Why is that so important?
Because what happens is the sellers have lived in the house, right? So maybe there is a door that doesn't shut, but it doesn't bother them in years. They don't think that, that needs to be fixed. There's a lot of little things that they don't think that's important. Maybe they'll do the paint touch-ups, they'll move out the furniture, they'll maybe take all the personal items and their trinkets back into the garage, but they will forget to fix that door that's not closing properly, or a sink that, they've just used to living in the house the way it is and it's working for them, and then they don't think about it. So
Interesting.
when, as an agent, we are walking through, there are certain things we will point them out right away. Hey, this curb appeal, move this, move that. Let's bring in a stager. If they're still living in them there, then we'll move things around. We'll make it look good. But then those little repairs, like if your home, and in today's market, I'm saying, in today's market, it's so essential to get that home inspection done and then have all those repairs done. And then when you're listing, if you say the home is already pre-inspected, that's great. Right? That's just like one great thing that we have taken care of before going into the market.
And does that also help seller leverage against the buyer? Because
Yeah,
the buyer
definitely.
typically, so let's say they don't order an inspection ahead of time and then the buyer orders it, right? That's typically what happens if there's not already an inspection done. And then there's always something, one or at least one or two things that needs repair, right?
Uh-huh.
Typically.
Yeah.
That buyer then comes back and wants either a credit or they want it fixed, right? So how does having that inspection done ahead of time affect negotiating leverage?
Say, for example, I'm just going to give you a real life example, right? So we just did a transaction where on the stove, the igniter wasn't working. Right? This was after the contract. We went through, it's a beautiful home. There's hardly anything in the inspection report. The seller agent, they worked with a guy. They ordered a part to fix it. That part arrived, but it went into the neighbor's house, never arrived. Took us a couple of weeks to figure out where the part is. The part wasn't right. Then we had to hire somebody else, like an actual repair person. And then now he's ordered the part again, and it's been a few weeks. Like,
And
we
this is
just
why you're in
wasted 2
contract.
months of time just to try to find the right part before
And this
closing.
is why you're in contract.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the
Okay.
buyer is like, no, I need you to fix that, right?
Right.
So you're just like, now what do you do? Like, do you want to make a deal like, just let's close it and then try to figure something, let's get a credit, but we know that this is not going to get fixed? I'm just saying, like, there's few things, like once you're under contract, usually you're trying to close the house within 30 to 45 days,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Especially
And
if
then,
there's a loan involved, because when there's a loan on our end, right, we have
mhm,
interest rate locks that
yeah.
expire, that cost money to extend.
Hmm.
There's all sorts of documentation that ends up expiring, right? That ends up causing pain to the buyer.
Yeah.
So there's a whole list of painful items that ensues if a deal gets delayed.
Yeah. And then so we are like working on time. And then today's buyers, they really want everything to work, right? They're very
So
put.
they're looking for turnkey, is what you're saying,
Yeah, mostly turnkey
for the
homes is
most
what
part.
they are expecting. And so if you take care of these little things ahead of time and not like something wasn't done on the final walkthrough and then now you're stuck,
Right.
right?
Interesting.
So
So as far as features or improvements, is there anything particular? I mean, I know you want the paint to look good.
the
You want the
repairs
home
to
to
be
be well
done.
sta Okay, repairs to be done, well staged. Is there anything that's maybe largely unknown that you've seen move the needle quite a bit as of late in
Mm,
regard to improvements or features?
well, I mean, the kitchen and the bathrooms always, right? People just love to see updated kitchens. Nobody wants an outdated kitchen anymore. Otherwise, your feedback is just coming back that, oh, there's just too much work in that house.
Mm, interesting. Yeah,
So
everyone wants a nice kitchen. That's where you spend so much of your time.
so much of your time, and people love that nowadays. It's like they just walk in, like you said, they all want turnkey homes, especially those kitchens and bathrooms if they're done. Otherwise, honestly, I'm telling you, like every feedback that you're going to get from the buyer agent after you list is like, oh, it needs a lot of work, it needs updating. If you already know that at that price that you're listing, that it needs update, then either the price has to compensate that for
So
the for you to get an offer.
you have to reflect that at least in the price. Yeah, you have to.
Mhm.
That makes sense. And I would go as far to say you probably get much more value out of just fixing the home
Mhm.
than reducing the price. Especially in the buyer's market, a buyer sees something and they're just going to nitpick and bring you down on that price as far as they can. And oftentimes it would have cost you half the amount to just get it fixed than it would on the price reduction.
Mhm. Mhm.
What so you go into your listing appointments, what preparation steps are making the biggest difference for your successful seller? So in really in a real world example, you go in, you have the listing presentation, right? You see the house. Aside from getting an inspection done, that is by and large the largest, it seems, is
Right now
making the
in
biggest
today's
difference.
market, Shay. Yeah. So what works is basically, I mean, the way I do it is obviously I am going to check the micro market, right? Just the neighborhood. Because sometimes what the sellers are thinking is that they're listening to all these headlines and then they're like, okay, this is the time we can do this, or the neighbor sold at this price. They just have a lot of things that they think on where the home should be priced. Right. But when you come in as an expert, you've already done the homework at the micro level, just their neighborhood, comparing. Like, so if there is any active homes on the market, I already go see those homes. So I can tell them the comparison of what that home looks like to this home. Right. We're going to look at every single data, what canceled, what sold, how long did it take. Um, and then I call all the other agents as well that worked in that neighborhood in the last 6 months to find out like what was the feedback or what actually worked for them and what didn't work. So I take all that knowledge. Of course, we have our comps, we have all those things that we usually take with them. But then having that knowledge of just that neighborhood and what the feedback was, what sold already when you're walking to an appointment really helps out. Like it really helps me to sit down with the client and explain. And then when I walk through, obviously I'm asking these questions, right? So mostly you want to find out from the seller what they like about the home. How do they see that, who's going to buy this house? Then that's how we strategize. Like if they feel like they bought this home because they want to, say, for example, I bought my home because this is a great neighborhood with the schools and it was like the perfect place for me to raise my kids. And that's who the buyer is a family that wants to come in because of the top schools. Then we find out what they actually liked, why they bought, and then figure out who the buyer is going to be for us to strategize that marketing for them.
Interesting. So each one takes a bespoke approach based on the micro market it's in, based on the nearby schools, the nearby amenities, and then you compile a list, a marketing strategy based on those things. That's interesting. What, you had mentioned the micro markets, right, in Reno and around the area. How is the Reno market unique compared to other regions right now, just in the city itself? I know you had mentioned earlier you think Reno's growing.
Yes, I mean, Reno compared to everything is just everything that you mentioned. I don't want to repeat myself, but it is the lifestyle that people are coming um, to Reno. But again, like every market is so different. Like we talked a little bit about South Reno, right? So we got the Montreux, the golf course with the trees. It's completely a different neighborhood that somebody wants to live in there compared to Arrow Creek. More wide open, still a clubhouse, still luxury homes, custom homes. Compared to Galena Forest, compared to De Monte, so much hustle bustle. De Monte downtown is coming, all the amenities are there. Like, park is there, the ice skating is there. So there's just every single neighborhood, like within 2 minutes of drive, definitely changes the way you're living.
Interesting. So there's so many micro markets I'm not even aware of. On the mortgage side, we don't dive into the unique markets. So it's
I
interesting to
literally
hear.
feel like every 5 streets, your lifestyle is going to change.
No, that's great. So there's something for everybody.
Definitely, yeah, there is something for everybody. I mean, we have the people who just wants the downtown vibe, or people want to like a lot of land, a lot of elbow room, and they want to live in Spanish Springs or Sparks and get 10 acres, right? So
Certainly.
whatever you need. And then nowadays, like this lock and leave concept has come to Reno. I was actually surprised that even the big builders are nowadays building like those townhomes. Just shocking for Reno.
I know.
Like in Reno, who wants to live in a townhome? But I guess it's what like the people that are coming from out of town is wanting is a lock and leave. So that's something new that we haven't seen, but that's happening in Reno markets right now. And people are paying a higher price for that. Like, for example, Ranchera, right? The townhomes are selling like million to 2 million. And I'm like, whoa. It took a minute to digest, but Toll Brothers is building townhomes now. Like why would you think a luxury builder is building townhomes? But I guess the landscape is changing. So every neighborhood is different. There's a lot more options. So you want to live like on a 40-acre lot with nobody and out of the grid, or you want to live in a townhome. We have like options for everything now.
Yeah, certainly. Are you still seeing, are there still interesting trends with buyers coming from certain parts of the country? Like, is the Bay Area still, is there still quite a big migration from the Bay to Reno?
So I am not seeing as much like I saw back in from 2020 to 2023. I saw a lot of Bay Area people because I mostly work with like first time investors and first time home buyers. And that kind of like changed to a lot of relocation clients now. And they're coming from everywhere, just not Bay Area. Like I don't see a lot of the Bay Area, still the investments are coming, but people who are buying their first time homes, they're mostly relocation clients. And those I'm seeing from everywhere.
From everywhere. Okay.
Everywhere.
Is there any state or area in specific that you're seeing more of?
Mm, not nothing specific. Everybody's just from different places, honestly.
It's great. Reno's
Yeah,
become a
I
melting pot.
really couldn't tell you. Like, at one point, like we could say, like, okay, people are investing in Reno and then people are investing in Texas. Like, you could name like few different places. But right now, Reno, I mean, with like I work with a lot of Tesla clients, relocation, Chewy's, and like, all these companies, they're just bringing in people from everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Location. I mean, like I said, like from Bay Area to Reno used to be my clients, mostly California and Reno. And that quickly changed. The last year and a half, I think I worked with 80% portfolio has been relocation clients.
wow.
That's who
Wow.
is able to afford to buy also.
Yeah. So a lot of the jobs that are coming in, they're bringing
Mhm.
employees or workers, and we're actually working with some clients that work for Tesla right now. Exact scenario, came from Texas to work for Tesla, and here they are buying in Reno. So some practical advice for sellers here. Someone was thinking about selling in the next 3 to 6 months. What should they be thinking about and doing right now to prepare for that?
Okay, first thing I want to tell is I want them to actually be motivated that they actually want to sell the house.
What do you mean by that?
What do I mean by that is I feel like there's a few sellers who just want to test the market. Like they're not actually serious about selling. They think that they have a lot of equity. Let's just test the market and then see what happens. Like say if they price it at $1 million, they will only look at offers that are at $1 million. If you get an offer at 950, they don't want to look at it. Right?
And how does
So
that
first,
hurt somebody other than just wasting everybody's time? How does that hurt a seller in the future?
well, like you said, it's wasting time for them. It's wasting time for everybody if you're not a serious seller. Right? And then unless you have like a motivation that, hey, I have a relocation, I'm really serious about it, you want to do that. But otherwise, then you're just ending up, I mean, everything that you do is online now. So it's going to be like another listing, overpriced listing that just got delisted or expired. Right. So
And
the
then
very first,
will that also show up in the listing report? So could you go back as a buyer and see, oh, they had this listed in
yeah.
early 2025 at X price.
And
Now it's at X price.
right,
Okay.
right. You'll see that too. But yeah, so the very first thing is I want all the sellers to actually want to be like you actually want to sell the house, right? So and then come up a realistic price. Like I mean, we the agents like hire an agent early on, like start prepping now. Right, that presentation is just so much more important. Like I talked about repairs, getting the repairs done and the presentation, and the price is just so much more important. So start working now because a lot of people have lived in their homes for a long time and they have like collected a lot of things. So it takes time once you go through each room, each closet, declutter, donate, trying to do all those things and then write everything down, right? What you like about the house, make that home file while you're going through it on how things work in your home, right? If there's anything tech or if there's something with the sprinklers or if there's some room that nobody can find, like, whatever you know about the house or the warranties or the improvements that you have done by the year, like make that folder, a home folder, put everything in there and start now. Like
Start early.
start
Start
early,
early
start
and hire a
early.
professional.
I
What's your advice for
started.
sellers? What's your advice for sellers who need to sell but are worried about?
Well, we sell in all kinds of markets. Honestly, Shay, there is opportunity in every market. So it just depends on the time of the market and what strategy you want to use to sell that particular house.
Certainly, certainly. And I know some people try to sell their houses on their own. How should sellers think about working with an agent in today's market versus trying to do a for sale by owner? How is what's going to be the differences that they'll experience there?
No, it's not 2021 anymore that you're going to try to sell. It's not that kind of market. But honestly, like I said, my previous profession was project management. It's like you need somebody to guide you to take you there,
Certainly.
right? So step by step, take you to your goal. Like you need someone that
Somebody
knows the
that's in the
market.
trenches every day, a professional, somebody that
Yeah,
knows the
somebody
market.
who's gone through all these experiences, and somebody is coming to you today, then you could tell them what happened to the last six sellers,
Certainly.
right? So
Certainly.
yeah, what happened in that neighborhood. Like you need that true professional who cares about you and your situation to get you to the end,
Absolutely.
to
Is
make
there
the right
any
strategy. So I don't know, I could tell you like the logical things on why you need to hire a professional, but truly having somebody by you, whatever you're thinking, I think you can make it happen at the end of the day.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. Neetha, thank you so much for all your expertise and your professionalism. Is there anything you'd like to add that you feel would be important to the conversation?
Mm, to specifically sellers, you mean?
Yeah, sellers or buyers, just anything from your professional expertise that you feel like people should know.
So one piece of advice I would say is just hire the right person.
How does someone go about that? How does someone go about interviewing or finding the right person?
So I would say look at their experience. That really helps. Anybody can bring a right strategy if they've done it before. So look at their sales, look at their experience, find somebody that's close by too, right? Say if you're hiring me, I'm a South Reno agent, you want me to like work in Fallon, probably I'm not the right agent. So find somebody that knows your neighborhood and experienced, because the closer the realtor is to that neighborhood, they could just provide so much more value
Certainly. And that's
as
that's
well.
that's great that you say something like that. There's a lot of times people will say they'll work anywhere or they'll work with anybody, when in reality that's not always the best thing for that client given their situation. So it's outstanding that you had mentioned that. Neetha, again, thank you so much. If people want to work with you, where can they go to contact you?
So they can call me at 775-225-9754, or they can follow me at Neetha Gorla Real Estate. I'm on Instagram, Facebook. I'm trying to start my YouTube, um, but yeah.
Excellent. Well, Neetha, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. This was a ton of value for sellers and buyers both. Um, we'll have to do this again sometime.
Sure, I'll look forward for that. And thank you so much for the opportunity.